Good afternoon, grinders. Welcome to your NBA SimLabs analysis for Tuesday, March 4th. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD, BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs as we take a look at the injury report for today. It's a 7-game slate, and boy, are there a lot of Q tags. Okay, we got to look out for the 76ers, obviously. We got Paul George with a Q tag. We got Tyrese Maxey with a Q tag. We got Kelly Oubre with a Q tag. We got Alperen Sengun. We got obviously the Rockets. I don't know if they're going to sit everyone today, but we got Sengun with a Q tag, Eamon Thompson with a Q tag, Fred VanVleet with a Q tag. Then who else do we got? We got Mobley's out. So the Cavs, who have one of the highest totals on this. I mean, they have the highest total, 128 implied total against the Bulls. And the Bulls, Josh Giddey is questionable. Obviously, Vooch is still out. We got Towns is questionable for the Knicks. Luka's questionable for the Lakers, including Austin Reeves. Is Randall coming back for the Timberwolves? We'll see tonight. Cole Anthony questionable for the Magic. Kuzma's doubtful, so he's out of the projections. Dylan Brooks for the Rockets also. We got tons of stuff going on. So you better check out Grinders Live today, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's followed by Crunch Time. They'll have all of your latest news and updates. Who's in, who's out, what happens when they're in and out, and how the projections change. So I would not be building lineups without that information. But since I'm here in the afternoon, we're going to take a look at SimLabs, and this is the type of process that you should be doing much more closer to lock as we get more info in, especially on a day like today where a lot of moving parts. But top play on the slate overall, Giannis. Milwaukee has 124.5 implied team total. The pay up option, you're probably looking at Giannis. And then, you got all the Cavaliers guys with Mobley out, like Mitchell, like Garland, even someone like Ty Jerome at 5,100. And then, Minnesota has a high total, so it depends on if Randall's in, but still Anthony Edwards is okay. Who else? Who else is here? We got, Lillard for the Bucks. I see a lot of Bucks. I see a lot of Cavs. And maybe Banchero at 8,200 is okay. I'm just taking a look at just basically like the raw point projections. But obviously you can't play them all together. You can't play all like $8,000, $9,000 guys together. It's not about the guys. It's not about the players. It's about the lineup. So I like looking on SimLabs and seeing basically optimal versus projected ownership. If I'm looking to build like a single entry lineup tonight, one lineup to play, especially with so many moving parts, right? That we may have to use late swap a whole bunch of times. Not necessarily, right? Okay, it'll be, you don't necessarily have to deal with a 10 o'clock game or anything like that. But we should get news on like the Houston lineup before lock. We should get news on Cole Anthony before lock. We should get news on let's see. Now, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the Minnesota, Philadelphia, that's an 8 o'clock game. But hopefully we'll get news before 7. Okay. So I like looking and seeing, who's over-owned, who's under-owned. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to, fade all the over-owned guys, but by how much are they over-owned? So like it says here in our Sims, which are 10,000 plus simulations of the games and the contests for tonight, how often do certain players show up in the winning lineup, the winning GPP lineup, the optimal GPP lineup compared to their ownership? And it says here that Garland is 11 percentage points over-owned. But what does that really mean? Well, his optimal rate is, according to our simulations, is a little less than 17%, which is pretty high. Okay, 17% chance at optimal is pretty high, but we have him projected to be owned at like 28%. So that's a delta of 11 percentage points. So just because someone has like a high bar in like the green or the red, well, it's in comparison to how often they're optimal. So like, for instance, Donovan Mitchell, we have a 7% over-owned. But Donovan Mitchell's optimal rate is we have at 15% based on our sims. And he's going to be owned around 23%. So that delta isn't as bad as it looks, right? It's not like a guy is like 11 percentage points over owned because he's 1% chance of being optimal and he's 12% owned, right? Because 1% chance of being optimal is very low. Okay, so Mitchell and Garland aren't like absurdly like over owned. Maybe do you play them all together? I don't know. I guess maybe can you play all Cleveland guards together? Well, we'll see in the Sims. Because another player on the Cavs that is also like over-owned, quote unquote, is Jared Allen. 13% over-owned. We have him as an optimal rate of like 22%, which is high. It's one of the highest on the slate. But he's going to be owned. We have his projected ownership at 35%. Same thing for like guys like Drummond and Okongwu. Those guys, on the other hand, like we take a look at Drummond. I just have this on the other screen. Take a look at Drummond. Drummond's optimal rate is like 13%, and his projected ownership is 28%. So Jared Allen actually has, a decently higher chance of being optimal than Drummond for about the same amount of over ownership. Right? You're probably playing some of these guys. So just because there's a big red bar here doesn't mean you can't play these guys. But it's likely you're not going to be playing all of these over-owned guys in the same lineup. The same thing could be said when we take a look at the green bars. Like who's under-owned. And you may get some guys, Jimmy Butler, under-owned, 8%, under-owned. His optimal rate is 12, right? And he's going to be like 4% owned today. Right? So like 12% is pretty decent, but it's not like absurdly high, right? It's not like his optimal rate is 30% and he's going to be 18% owned. Right? 30% is a very high optimal rate. So just take that into account where just because someone is 4%, 6%, like that means a lot if like they're only projected to be 1% owned. Right? Like I'm just using as an example, like Moses Moody, for example. I'm just picking one right out of here. This is how I do these videos. I'm looking at it like anyone else would look at it. Moses Moody is 4% under-owned, but I mean, his projected ownership is 1.26%. That's what we have as projected ownership. So yeah, he's under-owned, but his chance of being optimal is like 5%. So it's not that high chance of being optimal, but he's 1% owned. So he is under-owned, but it's not like he has a high shot at being in the winning lineup anyway. So always take that into account when you take a look. Like Keldon Johnson, on the other hand, I think like Keldon Johnson, projected owned 18%, optimal 5%. Like that's over-owned to me. Like that, like Keldon Johnson is someone, okay, I don't want to play. Although there are plus EV lineups with Keldon Johnson, I'm going to choose to not play, right? I'm going to choose to play to not play Drummond in a lineup. And this is how you'd use SimLabs. So I'm looking to build a single entry lineup for tonight that doesn't play Keldon Johnson or Andre Drummond. Well, let's just take a look. I'm gonna put up 20 lineups. What do these lineups look like? Okay, so instead of going through and just playing, I'm going to play this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. It's like you could just go and select lineups. So yeah, no. Look at these sims. We get multiple Cavs players together, right? And they rate very highly, right? We got Mitchell, we got Allen, we got Garland. Mattis Buzelis, obviously playing Bulls on the other side is probably a good idea. If you're going to play the Cavs, you want that game to be close. And also you get the extra added bonus that if Giddey is out, there's going to be plenty of value on Chicago. So yeah, so you could play Ball, Buzelis, and then you got a 0.2% owned OG Anunoby. We have him as the most under-owned player today. That we have projected ownership to be like almost like nothing, like literally nothing, and his optimal rate at like 12%. So maybe he's someone that's sneaky that you could play. You got obviously Julius Randle in this lineup also, assuming he plays. Actually, our Sims show Randle as the highest shot at being optimal amongst all players at 28% at 6,500, assuming he plays. Obviously, if he doesn't play, his chance of being optimal is 0. But assuming he plays, we have him as one of the best GPP plays on the entire slate, according to our Sims. But I don't mind this lineup. Like, this first lineup looks pretty good, right? Mitchell, Ball, Anunoby, Randall, Allen, Garland, Buzelis, Day'Ron Sharp. Like, that isn't that bad, right? You may look and you go, do you play Day'Ron Sharp? I mean, in this lineup, that's perfectly fine, right? Here's one with Kobe White in it. Here's one with Giddey in it. So you're playing Jerome and Allen with Giddey, right? Yeah, these lines are pretty good. If we take away like Johnson and Drummond, so let's just take a look at with no exclusions, no inclusions, no nothing. Like, do we get a lot of Cavalier players together? Yeah, this is a little bit more spread out, right? So you get Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, you get some Knicks, you get some Cavs, you still get Buzelis here, you're still getting Bulls. You're still getting Bulls. No one that's like single digit owned here. We get Keldon Johnson in this lineup. You get Giannis in this lineup. But then you got to play like Jabari Smith, Zach Collins, Lonzo Ball, Jacoby. Yeah, this is Max Strus as the only Cavs in the lineup. You play Jerome and Strus together in this lineup. I don't know. Here's Butler, right? We said he was underowned. But you can go and just select one. All these lineups that I'm showing you right now are good. Right, here's one with 4 Cavs in it. Right, you got Allen, Jerome, Strus, Mitchell. It's going to be kind of hard to avoid the Cavs as of now. You may be playing 76ers tonight when everyone sits, or the Rockets do something and decide to play people off the parking lot. It seems like they're sitting a million people. You don't know if Randall's going to play. I mean, we don't know what's going on with Karl Anthony Towns. So, like, this is all subject to change. But as of right now, assuming all the few guys are in, it looks like our Sims are liking, like, almost stacking the Cavs Bulls game, and that's just going to be especially good if Giddey doesn't play, and that game's an 8:00 game. So like that, I like to look for situations where it gives me a little bit more optionality later if news comes in, because as of right now, remember all the Q-Tag players are in our projections, so like we're assuming Giddey's playing, and with Giddey in the projections, we're still getting Bulls. We're still getting Kobe White and Buzelis, and obviously Giddey if he plays. We're still getting these guys, even with Giddey in. Now, if Giddey is out, then all these guys become even better plays. And also, you'll have more information. If you're playing a lot of Cavs, like the Cavs can't get any worse, right? I mean, Mobley is out. So, like, any news that comes in just makes these guys even better plays. They project even better. So, like, if you fill your lineup with a lot of Cavs and Bulls, you could then see what happens with Julius Randle. You could then see what happens with the 76ers at 8:00. Like, it gives you a lot of optionality. So you could feel free to switch out, do a 2v2, switch out Donovan Mitchell and someone else, and end up with Paul George in your lineup, or end up with Tyrese Maxey in your lineup, or end up with any of the 76. Instead of playing Ty Jerome, you're playing a 76ers role player in that spot, because these two games are on at the same time. Now, maybe we end up getting a whole bunch of news before lock with these games anyway, but I like the fact that you could play 6 lineups. Like, I mean, truthfully, I mean, you can play like all of your lineup spots with this. I mean, if we take a look, let's say we did that. Let's say we wanted to play Randall in our lineup, right? We want to play Randall. We're gonna take away. We're gonna do the same thing. No Keldon Johnson, no Drummond, right? Well, I mean, I guess we could play. I mean, we could play Drummond because he's part of that game, right? But who's projected well that's in like other games? I'm just taking a look over here. We got the Siakam. Maybe make sure don't get Siakam. I mean, we could look for these lineups anyway, right? I'm going to build more than 20. I'm going to put in 50. So we got Siakam up here. Who shows up a bunch? Maybe like these Knicks guys, like Brunson and Hart. I just want to see if we could find a lineup that pretty much contains only players that are playing at 8:00, if we can. I mean, the one that I looked at before was pretty much that, with the Day'Ron Sharp at the bottom. But yeah, so I'm just trying to get rid of like kind of players that don't exist in that game, that basically have Julius Randle. Anyone else that comes up a bunch, right? Yeah, let's take away Giannis, so we're not going to play Giannis in these lineups, right? And remember, you can choose to build lineups that do the complete opposite. To say I'm going to play a lineup that has none of the guys from Cleveland, Chicago. You could do that also. There are going to be lineups that project and simulate well that don't have anyone from that game. There may be less of them, but there are ones that do rate out well. So let's see, 50 lineups, and let's see what happens. So we're locking in Julius Randle. We're excluding a whole bunch of these guys, right? We take a look. Maybe we don't mind playing OG Anunoby. Maybe he's the only early-ish guy that we play. So we got Drummond, Buzelis. Okay, we got Randall, Edwards, Allen, Mitchell, Zachary Richardson. Maybe we take him away. I mean, I could obviously scroll down and look for these combinations, right? Quentin Grimes is doubtful. Well, he's not doubtful, but he was doubtful yesterday. Let's see. Let's scroll through. Yeah, we got DeAndre Hunter in here. I mean, we could find some of these lines. Let's try it a different way. Let's try to just force the players in. Right? So we're gonna play Randall, we're gonna play Allen, we're gonna play Randall, Allen, Mitchell. Allen, Mitchell. Who else are we going to play on the Cavs? Ty Jerome. Donovan Mitchell, Ty Jerome. We play Lonzo Ball. We play Buzelis. I don't know if I'm putting in way too many. I mean, we got 1, 2, six people. Let's see what the Sims find. Is there a combination that looks like this? No. Okay, so we can't put all of these guys together. There's no lineup that it's finding like that. Let's take away Ty Jerome and let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's this. I mean, essentially, we got everyone. We got Mitchell, Ball, Anunoby, Randall, Jabari Smith in the early game, Garland, Buzelis, Allen. Here's the one from before. This is the one from before. This is the one that I liked. Right? This is one I'd save. You could save any lineup you want into the saved lineups. You could sync your lineups to Lineup HQ if you're a Combo Pro member. But yeah, this is the lineup we looked at before. We got OG Anunoby, which Chart Sims has as the most under-owned player today. As of now, as of 1 o'clock, right? Once the lunacy happens with all these Q tags, all this data and everything is going to be updated. We're going to re-simulate all 10,000 lineups and 10,000 contests. But as of now, Mitchell, Ball, Anunoby, Randall, Allen, Garland, Buzelis, Day'Ron Sharpe. So basically, and OG is the earliest player at 7:30 p.m. and everyone else is 8 p.m. or later. And you can see here, you could like if you wanted to late swap, you could late swap onto. You could late swap onto Giddey if he plays. You could late swap from Mitchell or Garland onto like a Paul George or Tyrese Maxey. You could turn Day'Ron Sharpe into Andre Drummond. You could turn any of these. You could turn any of them, right? Once you're playing a 0.2% projected on OG Anunoby, I think you can do whatever the hell you want, right? For a single entry contest, right? That's what we're looking at here. This uses 49.7 in salary, projects for 267 as a median, and what's like the cash optimal number? 281.54. So not. You're giving up a decent amount of projection here. 281.54, but yeah, you're getting leverage. Obviously OG Anunoby and Day'Ron Sharpe are providing you with the leverage, and also the fact of the correlation of you playing 3 Cavs and 2 Bulls in your lineup. So if that game goes over and is close, you're gonna get a lot of value, especially at these cheaper prices. And talking about cheaper prices, get the Combo Light package. It includes SimLabs. You get full access to SimLabs, as well as our stat pack bases like Plate IQ, Court IQ, Gridiron IQ, Weather Edge. This is for the 4 major sports: NFL, NBA, MLB, and PGA. And you also get all of our premium content. So as far as, the consensus value rankings and the expert surveys and the game breakdowns and everything like that, you get all of that and SimLabs for the 4 major sports for one low price of $29.99 the combo light package. Join me today. And if you're not going to do that, at least give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door, right? On your way out the door. And yeah, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Make sure you tune into Grinders Live later today. Okay. Today is a nutso day. Today it's like I could look at SimLabs at 1 in the afternoon and it means nothing. It means nothing right now because there are whole teams that are on the injury report. Literal whole teams that are on the injury report. But we do update SimLabs throughout the day. Once news comes in, you'll see the timestamps get updated. You'll see our projections, our ownership, our sims all get updated. So as you say, oh, the Rockets are sitting everyone. Okay, wait a couple of minutes. We'll update everything. You'll reload the page, and then you work out your lineups in SimLabs that way. So that's what I would suggest. Tuning in to our show later today, especially crunch time, half an hour leading up until lock on the YouTube channel, and then play around with SimLabs and research and find the lineups that you want to play tonight in the NBA. And I will see you tomorrow for another NBA SimLabs analysis here on RotoGrinders.com.